All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel, Xodus TV. We are here with another banger for you. Excuse me. First of all, we want you guys to know that we are working on a new stage for Xodus TV, so we will be recording here until that stage is finished, so give us a couple months. It may be sooner. However, we are working on that to bring you guys the best outlook that you can possibly get. Now, first of all, I wanted to start off with the thought of the day. So the thought of the day comes from author Stephen Richards. The only time that you fail is when you fall down and you stay down. So let's say it again. The only time that you fail is when you fall down and you stay down. So with that being said, you got to keep going. In life, you're prone to fail. We're supposed to fail. We fail because we have to learn how to succeed. You lose because you have to learn how to win. So you don't fail until you fall down and you don't get back up. Don't defeat yourself. Don't defeat yourself. We fall and we get back up and we keep going and we stay determined and we make sure that we make our goals, our dreams, our aspirations happen. So just remember that you haven't failed until you fall and you don't get back up. Remember to get back up. Remember to stay on top of it, man. And anything that you want, anything that you need, you got to go and get it. Okay? And just know there's a whole lot of life things that come with it. It's just a process, you know. Trust the process. Let the process be the process, but be the part of the process to make the process work for you, if that makes any sense. All right, so first thing we want to do is we want to get right into the show. We got some sports headlines for you today. We want to get right into it. Our topic number one, we're only going to spend about 2 minutes on this topic. I want to make sure that we don't overgo any topics. So we're going to start with our stop clock, and we're going to go straight into the very first one. It's increasing speculation of Zion Williamson trade possibilities. As you all know, Zion Williamson is the #1 pick of the 2019 draft, has been in the NBA roughly about 4 years. Out of the 4 years that he has been in the NBA, he's only played 114 games out of 194 games. Not taking anything away from the player, in those 114 games that he has played, he's averaged 25.8 points per game. Amazing stat. Should the Pelicans move off of him? They just signed him to a 5-year, $194 million contract extension. Should they move off on him, or should they give it more time to basically see where their franchise can go with him? You know, he's had some struggles with injuries, and we know that. That's a part of, you know, playing any professional sport when the requirement on your body is so, you know, large. If you want my opinion, I think right now I'm kind of in both places. I think that they could move off of him, but because he hasn't played very many games, would you get a good offer for him that you could get for him if you try to ride it out? It kind of seems like riding it out kind of gives you like more variations to the scenario, because if you ride it out, you get one or two things, which is he could play for the rest of his tenure. Stats go up, everything goes up, team upgrade goes up, or you could trade him and take less value for what he could possibly be worth. Because in second, if he does play well and you still want to move off of him, at least with him playing well over a 10-year time, it would increase his value on the market, on the NBA's market. All right, we are off of that subject. Don't yell at me. I'm not yelling at you. All right, we're going to go straight to the next topic. As you all know, the Denver Nuggets have just won their first NBA title as a franchise. That's amazing. It's an amazing stat, actually. Winning your first franchise. If you had a franchise for all these years, you winning your first franchise. Today, they are going to be having their parade in Denver. Congratulations to the Denver Nuggets. This is a great series. They showed a lot of dominance throughout the playoffs. So there was really no handling them. I watched a lot of sports commentators, sports analysts, and I think one thing that they failed to realize is that you didn't put the Denver Nuggets into the conversation. Their record already showed. I mean, they're consistency already showed that they were definitely going to contend. So I think this teaches us all a great lesson that in future that you can't count out someone who is showing you the stats. They're showing you they can do it. They're proving to you they can do it. I mean, they're the number one team in the NBA this year. I mean, everything kind of made sense if you actually look at the entire picture once the picture concluded. So big shout out to the Denver Nuggets, all the players. I don't want to specifically call out any one player because it was definitely a team effort, man. They all got together. They played as a team. And it was really a sight to see from the Denver Nuggets, a franchise that we're not, used to seeing even in the playoffs, let alone winning an NBA title. So big shout out to the owners and the players and all supporting cast for the Denver Nuggets, man. That's a great accomplishment. Really, really good thing to see. I love it. We all loved it. Great watch. Okay, so we definitely passed this topic before our time, so we're going to go right into a little bit more basketball. We're going to go over here. Is Karl Anthony Towns a top 5 center? Now, with that being said, I do want to quote one of his quotes that he said today. I have a lot to expound on this. It says, he said, "People will say I changed the game when I retire." Okay, so let me turn my phone off because you shouldn't have heard that. This is where I'm at with that. So if I'm dissecting his quote, I'm looking at it as people will say I changed the game when I retire. He's not anywhere near retirement right now. He's very young. He's fairly new to the NBA. Probably going to be one of the faces of the NBA as some of these older guys begin to make their way out into retirement. With the way that he worded this and the way that he said that, if he plans to work on his game, if he plans to continue making changes in that locker room, as far as his teammates, getting his teammates involved, which, I mean, he does do now, but is he making his teammates better? Are they winning playoff series? They're barely on the very edge of like going home, and then they make the playoffs, and of course another series to where they're down. I would say in total, I'm not shutting down, anybody's aspirations of what they feel that they're going to become, because you can definitely become that. I mean, he's already became an NBA star, which the statistic on that is like crazy. So we got to see some leadership. We've got to see you making your teammates better. Sometimes a little absent on the court. Kind of want you to be dominant and really bring forth those words into fruition. Is it a possibility? Of course it's a possibility. I do think he's one of the best shooters as far as a center is concerned. He can shoot that three-point, man. If I'm not mistaken, he won a three-point contest. I mean, that's a pretty much a change within itself. You got Nikola Jokic and some other centers as well. This is just one that I'm naming right off the bat that can also really shoot that three-point ball. But, I mean, that's pretty good. To be a center and be able to shoot threes, because it kind of makes you more of a threat. You got to hold me inside, but hey, you got to check that line too. And to be able to pull the opponent's team's center, the opposing team's center, out of the paint because he has to come guard that, or the wingman has to come and double down on something because he can shoot and he's a threat out there. It changes the whole dynamics of the game. It changes the whole dynamics, the way a coach has to coach, the way the defense has to play and adjust. So definitely with that speculation, with those words, we kind of want to be on that. Real quick, my type 5 centers of the league, in the league right now: Nikola Jokic, number 1. Joel Embiid, number 2. Bam Adebayo, number 3. Great player. Did amazing this year. Really carried his team. Number 4, DeAndre Ayton, and number 5, even though we don't like to include him, I love to include him. A lot of people don't like to include him. Anthony Davis, he is a power center, so he's kind of both. However, he is a center, and he is still dominant. I know he's had a lot of struggles with injuries, but he can't be put out of the question. He cannot be put out of the question because when he is on the court, he's a dominating force, and you have to deal with that. The coach has to adjust the game for him being in there. So we got to give him the respect that he deserves. That's my top 5 centers in the league right now. I might have missed somebody, it's kind of opinionated. But these 5 guys were also all in the playoffs as well. So, you know, that shows the leadership, and that shows how much of a factor that they are with their teams. And you know, you have to include these guys. I mean, you really don't have a choice to include these guys. Awesome. Now, we're going to go on to our very next subject. Now, the next thing that I have for you is the Stephon Diggs story. Okay, so we're hearing a lot about the Stephon Diggs, you know, missing in practice, mini camp or whatever, and then he shows up to he showed up to the last 2 for the Bills. Head coach McDermott is stating that Stephen did everything that we asked of him. I guess there was some type of conflict there within. Somewhere between him and the franchise, or him and the owner, him and the coach. We really don't know. They haven't given us all of the inside information on all of that. However, we do know that the Buffalo Bills definitely need him out there. Now, they are saying that he wants the ball more. And they are saying that win, lose, or draw, he wants more targets. Well, guess what? He didn't say that. So I'm not going to take a conversation and say that that's what it is if he hasn't said it out of his own mouth in the public. I will say this: he should be targeted. He definitely should be targeted as many times as the game permits. But at the same time, if you're trying to win games, and if it's not there, it's not there. But get the man the ball if you can get the man the ball as many times as you can if you want to maximize on winning. We're not even going to go into Josh Allen. He's a great quarterback. I don't like to hear some of the things I heard about him as far as his tendencies and as far as his inconsistencies. He's very consistent. He's been a strong force in the NFL for, you know, these last couple of years. And guess what? You got to deal with him. And if you do beat him, you're not blowing him out. You're barely beating him. And it's really a controversial decision or a game time decision or a game winning drive. So let's not get into the subject of Josh Allen. He's a great quarterback and probably a Hall of Fame quarterback at the end of his career. So let's not get into that conversation. Let's avoid that conversation as much as we can. Let's get over here to let's actually now the very next thing I want to get over here is I want to get over to this baseball, man. Last night, man, really crazy. So Isaiah Kiner-Falefa steals home base. Mets win in 10 innings, 4-3 against the New York Yankees. He steals home base. How did he steal home base? I'm going to tell you exactly how he stole home base. So we've got our pitcher pitching, and I mean, right place at the right time. Simply at the right place at the right time. He's stealing the home base while the pitcher is pitching. The pitch is thrown over the batter's head. He steals home base. Great achievement for a game. And the Mets did come out with a win. So that's commendable within itself. I mean, what can we say about that? Can't really say too much about that. I mean, that is what it is. He stole home base, and there's nothing you can do about it. How about that? All right, so let's go over here to let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys just for a little bit. Specifically, we're going to speak on Dak Prescott. Okay, so as you all know, I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. However, I want to speak a little bit on Dak Prescott. Not anything negative. Okay, so is Dak Prescott kind of holding back the Cowboys? He's the reason why the Cowboys have not made it to a Super Bowl, let alone NFC Championship game over the last couple of years. Actually, the last while. His career, his last season stats, 2,860 yards, 23 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. No, he is not the problem in Dallas. Okay, Dak is the man. Dak can win you a championship, a Super Bowl. He's definitely capable of doing that. As a team and team effort, you know, I really get perplexed when we speak on a person being the reason or at fault for an entire team losing. So, with that being said, let me explain something to you, at least the way that I see what I see. Last year, he didn't have as many offensive weapons as he probably could have. However, he did have quite a few, more than a lot of teams in the NFL. But they're still working on that. Maybe some discrepancies with offensive coordination. No inclination of that, specifically from Dallas Cowboys. However, he's definitely not the issue. The issue is, as a team effort, as the team goes forth, the team's got to win. And we're doing that on both ends. We're doing that defensively and we're doing that offensively. And we're not going to be able to blame one person for the loss of an entire team, especially when a game is played on both ends of the field. Both ends of the field, you know? So, a big shout out to Dak Prescott, man. Love what you're doing. Definitely continue doing what you're doing. And don't get your head down for these headlines. Of course, the Dallas Cowboys believe in you. I believe in you. We all do. So, he's definitely not the reason to why the Cowboys have not gotten over the hump. The Cowboys as a team have to get over the hump. The Cowboys as a team have to get to the NFC Championship game. It's not just a one-person effort. It's a team effort. So together they can make it. Yeah, if a person plays a little better, that might make it a little easier. However, where he lags, I'm picking up. That's a team together. All right. Let's go over to the Sean Payton thing real quick, staying on football real quick. Sean Payton wants to bring the Super Bowl feeling or Super Bowl type of feel to Denver. Are the Denver Broncos a legit contender? Ooh. Russell Wilson. For me right now, as of last year, no, they're not a legit contender right now. This year is a year of proof. So, no, they're not a legit contender until maybe after Game 5 to Game 7, we kind of see what they're looking like, what their offense is looking like under Sean Payton, how Russell Wilson is now adjusting within his second year at the Denver Broncos, their additions in free agency as well as their additions in the draft. It's a little bit too early to say that, but it's never too early to say that you want to bring that feeling to a franchise. But what you do want to bring to the franchise is a winning tendency. So I mean, at this point, I think a lot of times us as people, we kind of jump over hoops that we haven't even crossed yet. So we just want to remember that we got to win some games first before we even become legit contenders for any type of Super Bowl. Let's win some games. Let's focus on winning some games. Let's focus on getting the team together. Let's focus on where we disconnected last year. Make some changes from what we did last year and see how that's going to work throughout the season. Let's focus on the next team, the next opponent, and then as the season progresses, with all those things going in together, I think we can begin to speak about Super Bowls and being contenders. Do they have the team? They have the defense. They certainly have the quarterback, and his numbers speak for themselves. So it's a very interesting watch. So we are definitely watching that story very closely. Not too much more for you today that I feel that's like super important. We do want and we are monitoring the John Morant deal. As you all know, there's some reports of him being spotted with a weapon on Instagram. And the NBA is looking for punishment, in which they said that they would not give us information on the punishment until after the NBA Finals. Well, the finals have been concluded. Now everybody's sitting back like, what's going to happen? For me, what do I think will happen? I mean, I think he's definitely probably going to see some suspensions, some game suspensions. But I do want to say this. He's a young player. I was his age at one time. And I remember the things that I did. But a lot of the things that I did them to myself. mistakes that I made. I made those mistakes after not listening and doing what I need to do. Now, I'm not saying he's not listening. This is what I'm saying. He's a young player. He's gonna make mistakes. His first couple of years in the NBA, we can't write him off. And at the end of the day, if everybody watched the same footage that I watched, he did not film himself showing a gun. He was filmed by someone else. So he didn't hold the camera to himself and do this, And it's legal for him to have a gun. And I understand the importance of safety in the NBA. I mean, it's very important for safety in the NBA. I think that just whenever we're evaluating the situation as it has occurred, I think that we have to look at all variables. And once all variables have been looked at and a decision has been made, I think we need to adequately explain ourselves when we do give the punishment on national TV on this guy's life for everybody to know. But I do think that there needs to be a very thorough explanation as to why this is happening, how this is happening, and what made us get to this conclusion. Because I'm still having a hard time wrapping my head around where the punishment should be or why there is a punishment instead of more so a conversation. Considering he was not filming, he did not film that. That is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Bradley Beal, only player in the NBA right now with a no trade clause. This is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that Miami Heat and Milwaukee are interested in Bradley Beal, where he has a no trade clause. So will the Wizards trade for him, even though they can't, because he has a no trade clause? Will they coerce him to go? These are two championship contending teams that are looking for him, or that are showing interest. So it might not necessarily be a bad idea for him to have maybe that conversation if that's what he's looking for. Everybody has a different agenda when they're playing professional sports. So what are your thoughts on that? My thoughts on that are he's probably going to still be in Washington. However, if they can find a deal that will best suit him according to his goals and his aspirations for furthering his career, he's still in his prime, then I think that they may make something happen, and I think both sides would be happy about whatever situation that does occur. And for now, that's all we got for now, guys. Hey, once again, this is Xodus TV. We're giving you some sports talk. We do appreciate you looking in. Don't forget, now tomorrow morning, we're trying to do something big for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, we're trying to give you some more information. We're going to give you some headlines a little bit earlier. We're trying our evening thing out for today. However, we are going to definitely be trying to get our information to you in the morning. Please stay locked in, stay loaded for all off-season, in-season content, sports headlines. We are here to do it for you. Until the next time, peace.